recorded. So that's the agenda for today's demo session. We'll be going to covering all these topics, that what is Python, what are the use of Python, who all are using Python, where Python is used by the companies or users. Then I'll give you an introduction on Django, and then we will have a quick round of question and answer. So if you have any doubts, you can come up with your queries. So you must have heard Python is getting very popular. Python is an open source language, but why Python is getting popular and why it is used by the companies? Although we have other programming languages like C Sharp, Java, or for web application we have ASP.NET. Still, why Python is popular? So as you can see here, the first point I have mentioned here is Python is a set of language for beginners. So we used to call it as a beginner's language. Why we call it as a beginner's language? Because for a beginner, if anyone who is new to programming language and he would like to learn programming language, so instead of C or C sharp or Java, or if he start learning Python, it would be easy for him to understand, it would be easy for him, that user, to work on Python, because Python is a such kind of language which is easy to learn and easy to maintain. The syntaxes which we are defining in Python, they are very easy. They are very easy to write, and they are very easy to maintain. If any issues occurs, if any error occurs, it would be very easy to manage those uh, statements or codes. Python is an interpreted object-oriented high-level programming language. It does not mean that Python is not the Python does not include OOPS concept like we have in C++, C Sharp, or Java. Python includes all those concepts. So Python's simple, easy to learn syntax emphasizes readability, and because of that, it reduces the cost of program maintenance. And Python also supports modules and packages. So modularity and packaging and functionality is available within Python. Modularity means reusability of codes, reusability of functions. So that is possible with Python. And the Python biggest strength is that it has bulk of library is portable. Python has got a huge set of libraries which is that library is portable, which can be accessed from any system. It is not confined to a specific system or to a specific operating system. The libraries can be accessed the libraries can be open on any operating system. And Python also supports GUI programming. The graphical user interface GUI programming is also supports by Python. So not only we can create a command line program by using Python, also we can create GUI programs which can be accessed, which can be open, or which can be accessed on all kind of operating systems like Mac, Windows, Unix, or X Windows system. And those GUI programs can be used for various purposes. Like we can use a Python GUI program for storing the data in a database. So by using a GUI program, we can use Python GUI program as a front end and our database as a backend. So by using those programs, we can store the data into databases. Python is dynamic open source programming language with a focus on simplicity and productivity. Python is dynamic and open source. So Python is an open source programming language. What do we mean by open source? Open source in the sense all the functions and all the packages are easily accessible. They are and we once we import the packages, we can modify those packages as our requirement, right? And Python is said to be relatively easy to learn and portable, and it means that its statements can be interpreted in any number of operating systems like Unix based systems, Mac operating system, MS DOS, OS2, and Windows, and other various versions of Windows. So the statements or the packages or the libraries can be accessed, can be opened on all kind of operating systems. So you don't have to worried about it, like if I'm creating a program on Windows operating system, so whether it would be going to run on other operating systems or not, perfect, without any issues. So we don't need to worried about it. It will be work properly. It will work properly by because of Python. And it was developed in 1991, and Python has a significant number of users. Python has n significant numbers of users, those who are using Python as a programming language, both for not only for for GUI as well as for web development as well. So Python is useful in all areas. So I will be going to tell you that what are the all areas where we can use Python as a programming language. But before moving on to that, we'll see that let's have a look on few more points of Python. Python is interpreter based language and is processed at runtime by interpreter. So like in Java, if you want to run a command, first of all we need to compile that program, then we need to create a bytecode out of that, and then we run that program, right? Whereas in Python, it's a object oriented programming language. It has got all the features from Java or C sharp, but still in Python, whenever we execute a program, basically in Python we are writing our program directly on the interpreter, so we do not need to explicitly compile it. As soon as we run it, Python automatically compiles it, interprets it, and gives the output. So it saves the time. So means we do not need to create the bytecode first out of that and then run it like we used to do in Java. In Python, we don't have to do all these things. We don't have to worry about it. It will be taken care by Python itself. Uh, a notable feature of Python is indentation. So we'll discuss about indentation. First of all, Python is designed to be easy to learn and master because of its clean and clear syntax. It has got very few keywords. Like in other programming languages, if we want to if you want to write a code, if I want to print a statement, we need to import the libraries, then only I can write codes, then only I can write my programs, or we can execute a statement. Whereas in Python we do not need to import the libraries most of the time to run the program, because most of the libraries are automatically included. So Python has got very few keywords and very few syntaxes. So by using few those syntaxes, and because of that, the programs become small and very effective and very easy to understand. It's very easy to update or very easy to modify same. And the most important, or I'll say the notable feature of Python is indentation. What is indentation? Like in programming languages, we used to write, if we want to create a, if we are creating a for loop, or if we are creating a while loop, or if conditions, we used to create blocks by using curly braces. Whereas in Python, the indentation or the block indentation will be done automatic, start as soon as we use as soon as we specify or add a semicolon after a statement. For example, if I want to write a for loop, so in for loop I simply write a for statement, and at the end of the command, and at the end of the for loop, I simply add a semicolon, or sorry, I simply add a colon, and then it will automatically starts an indentation. A new block will be start, right? So use of indentation for block delimiters instead of curly braces, Python use indentation for specifying blocks. Python is highly portable. It offers dynamic data types and ready-made classes and interfaces to many system calls and libraries. It can run almost anywhere, high-end servers and workstation, and it uses machine-independent bytecodes. This is important to understand. Like, it uses machine-independent bytecode. So Python code, Python program can run on any operating system. It is not confined to it is not confined to a single system. It can be run on almost all the systems, because it is not it does not generate bytecode. So because of that, it can be, the program can execute on any operating system. And it is extensible in the sense that it can be extended using the C or C++ language. Python can run on a wide variety of hardware platforms and has the same interface on all platforms. Extensible. We can add low-level modules to the Python interpreter, and these modules enable programmers to add or to customize their tools to be more efficient. These are few more features about Python. It's a high-level programming language, and it's easy to learn, easy to read, and easy to maintain. Obviously, if the statements are easy to learn, easy to specify, easy to write, so definitely they will be easy to read as well, and surely they will be very easy to maintain as well. It has got a broad standard libraries. Python has got a huge library. For example, if you want to import any package, if you want to install a new library into it, we can simply use a command by using by using pip command. We can install new packages. Although whenever we install Python on our local system, it comes with a huge set of libraries. But apart from that, if any additional library is required, by using a single command, we can install the package, we can install the library in our solution, and then we can use it. Databases. What do I mean by database? That Python can connect almost all kind of databases. It means Python can connect all kind of databases, and by because of that, it can store the data into, or it can read and write the data in all kind of databases. Only thing is, we need to use the libraries. We need to install the package. We need to install the required library based on the database, according to the database. It has got by using Python, we can create GUI programs, or GUI programming is uh, allowed in Python. So Python supports GUI application that can be created and ported to many system calls, libraries, and Windows systems. And because of that, we can create a GUI programs which can run on any operating system, and it can be connect almost all kind of databases. So as I've told you, that we can use Python GUI program as a front end, and the databases as our backend to store or to retrieve the data from database. And it is scalable. Scalable in the sense Python provides a better structure and support for large programs that than shell scripting. Apart from above mentioned features, Python has a big list of good features which are not listed here, but I'm going to tell you just few features one by one. First of all, it supports IT support functional and structured programming method. It can be used as a scripting language. It provides very high level dynamic data types and support dynamic type checking. It supports automatic garbage collection. Automatic garbage collection is a notable feature of Python, and it can be easily integrated with C, C++, COM, ActiveX, Corba, and Java. Now, what are the areas where Python is useful, where Python can be used? Python is useful in for system administration. Python is useful for creating GUI programs, for developing GUI programs. Python is useful for designing and developing web applications. Python is very useful in database management, database application management. In scientific applications, Python is useful. Python can be used for design and develop games. And nowadays, Python is useful in Android app development as well. So these are the areas where Python is useful. Python can be used. Now, if I talk about the syntax different in Python with respective to other programming languages, like in C, C++, Java, Fortran, or if you want to write up, if you want to, if I want to compile a code, first of all, I need to write a program, I need to write a code, and you see in Fortran, if I want to simple print a message, I need to write three commands. First, program, then I need to give the code, the statement which I would like to print, and then end program. Then it will print hello world. In C language, first of all, I need to include the libraries, then start the main function, then start the brackets, then print a line, and then close the bracket. So there are 5 lines. So just to print a single statement, just to print a message hello world, we need to write 5 lines. Whereas in Python, a single statement would work. For example, let me show you how we can write Python, how we can write a code in Python. There are two ways to write a Python code. First of all, by using IDLE. IDLE is an interface which is provided by Python. So it's a kind of an interpreter, GUI interpreter, which is provided by Python for writing and running the code. Else we can directly use command prompt as well. In command, once you have installed the Python and set up the packages, set up the library, I simple type a command Python, and it will open the Python interpreter for me, and then I can pass my command print, simple print hello world, hello. Even if I want to perform some calculations, I simple write 10 plus 20 and I'll get the output 30. So see, it's very easy to write the codes, very easy to write commands into it, or to do some calculations. Even if I want to check some conditions, that is also easy. I need to simple write if a greater than b, start colon, print a, else print b. Now the error here is I haven't defined a and b. So that's why it's giving an error message. So no worries about that. I just wanted to tell you the indentation. Yeah, so you see that's the indentation. Here we are getting the indentation a greater than b, and as soon as I use the colon here, indentation, and we need to give indentation. If we use in the same line, it will throw an error message. So that's the command, that's the use of command. Now the issue with command is it is not so much graphical. If I want to create a new file, so for I need to I can use a notepad to create a Python file. I can write my commands here. For example, I simple write here print welcome to BISP, and then say I need to save it. Okay, I need to save this in my required location at required location, and then I can execute it. Python abc dot py, extension will be py extension abc dot py, and then if I want to run, I need to write exit 0, and I write python abc dot py, abc.py. Okay, it is not in a specific location because it is stored in uh, it's stored at that desired location. So let me get to that. Cd python 27 and python abc.py. See, I got the output welcome to BSP. So this is little tricky to work on command prompt. So that's why Python has provided one IDLE interface. IDLE is basically IDLE is an interface which is we can call it as a interpreter. So it's a shell for interactive evaluations, and IDLE is a text editor with color coding and smart indenting. So we can use IDLE for our programs to write the program. So let's have a look how we are going to use IDLE. So first you need to download Python from online. You need to download the updated version or any version of Python and then install it. So there is a installer available online. You can simply search in Google Python installer, Python 2.7, 2.7 or 3.5 version. You will get an installer. You need to download and install the installer, set up the installer, run the installer. Once you run it, you will get a Python folder, Python library added into your program in the start menu. Here we have Python 2.7. I'm using 2.7, and here I'm getting the IDLE will install automatically. And when I open IDLE, you can see the difference by yourself. That's the shell in IDLE, and that's the shell we have in Python. That's the difference. Now here, to run a program, if I want to write multiple statements, it will break automatically. Whereas here there is an option here for new file, and here I can write my program very quickly. So I can run here print hello world, save it. Now to run this program, simply say F5. It will ask you to save first of all. So I simple save it, and I say test 100 and then run it. So I got the output here 1001, 1000. Hello world. So see, I directly run the program by using. So we can directly execute the code by using Python IDLE shell. So it's easy to work on it, and then it's very easy to update it as well. If you want to do any modifications, we can do that. I can do the modifications into it very easily. So because of very few syntaxes and easy to very few keywords, the Python code is very easy to write and very easy to maintain, right? So that's the syntax difference between Python as well with other programming languages. Now, who all are using Python? These are the world topmost brands. They are using Python for their programming languages for different purposes. So Python is not only confined to a specific area. Python is useful in all the areas, like for developing games, for searching information, for managing databases, or for creating a programming language, and so on. Okay, for analysis, Python can be used for analysis as well. By using Python, we can create graphs and applications as well. For scientific analysis, we can use Python. So there are lots of users of Python. Python is not confined to a specific area. Python is useful in almost all the areas. So there are various text editors available to work on Python. So we have TextMate. If you don't want to use IDLE, you can use TextMate. You need to download and install TextMate, and then you can write Python codes. But to run Python program by using these three these three editors, you can create a Python program, but to execute it, then you need to use command prompt to run to run the program. Whereas with ideally, it's an inbuilt interpreter provided by Python, and by using this ideally interface, we can directly uh, write our program on Python shell, and then we can run it, execute it. So it saves our time. So in our regular sessions, I will be going to use IDLE as my editor. Now that's the introduction about Python. Now let's move on to the introduction of Django, because this session is for we are going to use Django for web application development, and Django is a part of a Python. So that's why at first I gave you introduction of Python. Now we'll move on to the introduction of Django, what exactly Django is and how Django can be used, or how Django is useful for designing a web application. So Django is a high-level Python web framework that encourages rapid development, clean and pragmatic design. So by using Django, we can design or we can develop a web application faster and in a very easy way. The advantage with Django is that as soon as we start Django, as soon as we run Django, an admin interface will be created automatically. An admin interface will be designed automatically to manage the web application. And as you know, that the most important part of any web application, or of any website, is its admin interface. So but with Django, the admin interface will be designed automatically, and by using that admin interface, we can control, we can manage the rest of the web application, the rest of the web pages. And Django follows MVC pattern. MVC stands for Model, View and Controller. This is one of the most common application architecture adopted by the hobbyists and the corporation alike. The MVC pattern, it provides clean separation of tasks and responsibilities between the prominent aspects of an application. MVC, like model, view and controller. So controller will be controlling the requirement. It controls the requirement. It handles all the requirements which is made by the clients, which is made by the user, and the view is an interface which will be directly provided to the customers, to the user. So the user, they will be interacting with the view, and then whatever their requirements are there, those requirements will be handed over, will be passed to the controller, and then controller will work on them. Controller will decide whether they want to extract the data or they want to communicate with the database. So that can be managed by the controller, and what kind of information customer is looking for, client is looking for. Okay, and then once the controller gets the data, it returns the output to the view, and view again present the data back to the user. The idea behind using MVC architecture is that it separates the execution, it separates the programs. Separation of programs means it separates the program functionality and the task. Okay, so like if we are not using MVC architecture, and if all the tasks, they are connected with each other, associated with each other, so then what happen if I'm modifying, if I'm making some changes in the business logic. So in traditional development, in traditional uh, way of developing an application, in that what happened, I need to put a restriction on my website so that my user can't access my website. Whereas in MVC architecture, if I'm making some changes in my business logic or in my database, it will not affect my presentation part, it will not affect my view part, presentation part. Only I can make my change directly into my business part. So it gives basically it separates the presentation parts and the business part or the business logic. It has got a flexible template language that can be used to generate HTML, CSV, email, or any other formatted files. Now, who all are using Python? So these are the brands, they are using Python for their web as a web application, like Mozilla, RDO, OpenStack for stock exchange, Pinterest is for sharing images and all, uh, Instagram, disks. So these all are brands. They are using Django as a web application. That means they are using Django as their web application for their for different users. Now, why use Django? Because Django is fast. It's very easy to design and develop web application faster by using Django. Django scales automatically. Scales means Django is capable of handling a large number of users automatically. Right. So let's suppose if we have got a huge database of public information to social networking sites with over 5 million users, so Django will be able to handle all of them. Django handles, Django can handle them automatically. Django admin is very helpful, as I've told you that the most important part of any web application is to design admin interface, and that is also the most boring part as well, because in admin part we are not going to design so much. We simply put a control, we just want to put a control with the other pages, other web application, or the complete web application. So the Django admin is the most amazing things, and by using it we can control and manage our web application from a single point. Okay, so and we have a username and password. So while setting it up or while running it up, we can set up username and password so that only the authorized users can access the uh, applications. And also once we logged in into Django admin interface, we can create more users. So there are options available to create more users. Django makes things easier. So it's a complete framework with a lot available, but only if you want it. It tries not to get in the way, and if there is a thing you don't like, we just go around, we just leave it. It makes things easier to work on, it makes things easier to use it. Now the question comes how we are going to work on Django. So for to work on Django, first of all, you need to install Django in your system. Okay, then only you can work on Django. And to install Django, the command will be, I'll tell you the commands how to install a Django. So to install a Django, you simply pass a command pip install Django. That's the command to install a Django, and this pip installer should be installed in your system. This will be automatically installed once you set up Python on your system. This command will be automatically installed. But if you are not getting that, you need to download and install it. And as soon as I press enter pip install Django, it will check if Django is already installed. Sorry, I forgot to show you this. Yeah, pip install Django. So if this Django is already installed, it will check and see I got a message requirement already satisfied, Django in C drive Python 27 lib site packages. It means this Django package has already installed, the library is already installed on my system. So it is already installed. So because of that, I do not need to run it again. I do not need to install it. And if I want to create a package, so for example, I create a package, I run a package here, I get to desktop, uh, sorry, it should be, I need to run again, cmd desktop. Okay, I'm on desktop now. Pass a command Django slash admin dot py and project start project BISP. Okay, we need to get to that library cd python 227 and packages. Right. So I pass a command Django admin dot py start project BISP, and you can see here it will create a new folder as soon as I pass a command here start project BISP. It creates a new folder BISP with few default files manage BISP. These are the few files which are being installed automatically, right? Then I write cd BISP, and then I write python manage dot py run server, and when I run server it will be running, and you see uh, it is asking me to type this message, type this URL http 127.0.0.1 colon 8000. So let's run this. I'll just pass message here http 127.0.0.1 colon 8000, and as soon as I run it I got a message, it works, congratulations for your first Django powered web page. It means the application has been installed successfully, it's working fine, but I'm getting message here run python manage.py migrate to apply them. There are some unapplied migrations, so your app will not work properly until they are applied. So I need to install them. Okay, I need to install it, so it means I need to make the changes. So I'll do one thing, I'll break it, and then I pass a command. It's python manage dot py migrate, and so it will perform the migrations and it will make the changes, it will apply the required changes. Migration is done, and once the migration is done I can again run a server. I can start my server again, and when I refresh it I can get a message, so it's working fine. And now I can pass a command here admin. So you see as soon as I press admin, so that's the admin interface. So I need to provide admin interface here, admin, but right now it will throw me an error message because the user does not exist. So we need to create a admin user first. We need to create a super user here. So to create a super user I write here manage dot py super user, manage manage.py super user. Okay, I got the error. because this super user has changed now. This super user is not working. So super user. So instead of using this super user, we need to create. We need to use another. We need to use another message. So let me try this. Python manage.py and Python manage.py. Let me try this message. I think this will work. Create super user. Right. So that's the new updated command. Python manage.py create super user, and see it's giving a message username. I can give any name, so I give BISP pass an email address. So I give my mail address sumit.bisp@bisp.com. Password bisp. The password is too short, so okay, bisp 12345. Super user created successfully. So let's run server again, and I'll have a look to the. I will look at the server, that in server, and if I look at here, that's the first. I refresh my application, and here I pass bisp 12345, and I will be logged in successfully. So see, that's the admin interface of Python, of Django, and here we can create groups, we can create a new user. I can create a new user from here, and username, password confirmation. I can create a new user and then share that username with my with that specific user, and that user will be able to logged in into admin in Django. Right? So that's the way how we can set up a Django, and how we can see. So it's very easy. We have created an admin interface. So because this is an inbuilt admin interface, we simply provide username and password. We simply create a super user, and then we are able to work on it. Now in our regular sessions, I will be going to see how to create a small web application to with Django, to work on it, to design it. Right? So that's all from my side. I'll stop it here. So if you have any queries, you can ask. You can come up with your questions one by one. I'm going to unmute you. One second. Let me unmute you all, and you can come up with your questions now.